And it looks like we can see your screen. Everything looks good. So honestly, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and start.
I think what you're seeing on my screen just is I'm trying to be able to see the chat and my screen at once, and it won't show me the
Gotcha.
screen. So are you seeing the first slide or the
Yeah, everything looks great.
okay. So hi everyone, I'm Nichole Smith. I'm a IT director at Industrial Sales. I got my master's in philosophy at the University of California at Valparaiso, and I taught it in this room for years. So today I'm going to teach you all a bit about building personal systems for wellness on focusing on how to uh, address the user's actual states, right? Having reality as part of requirements for the app because sometimes they're not developed like that, right? So I want to claim that a bad assumption to make is that a reasonable thing to assume about a user is a realistic thing to assume. I think, oh yeah, the user's totally gonna remember to check in this app every day. But a lot of people don't. I don't. Yeah, they'll think, oh yeah, the user can totally just explain their state, but that's hard, right? You always come up with words to say what is going on. You have to do like a mood tracker, health tracker, especially if you're in one of the bad states and you're in a lot of pain or stress. And say, should I come up with the right word for this? That's probably not helping you. The user will tolerate setup. So they need an app for someone who, again, some sort of pain, depression, any sort of wellness app, right, is going to be on wellness, and that's extra stress and pain, and reasons why users aren't going to want to go through a half-hour setup before they get to, oh, is this actually helpful for me? And finally, the user will turn after failure. Pain days, people have depression days, other sorts of, they get busy with life for various reasons. Can they come back to your app after that? Or are they going to like restart and you have a huge pain and just feel like we know to heck with it. So it's bad enough that I'm going to restart now with less extra pain. So you want to build things, remove, reduce, or absorb demands that the target state can't support, right? If you're building for someone who's in a state of busyness or sadness or exhaustion or whatever, then be prepared for that. You make sure that there's nothing in the app and when you're fail checking, red teaming, make sure there's nothing in the app that will not work for those figures. We're going to go through some examples in a moment here. But I use a 4-word design check, right? So that way you only have to remember 4 words, so you jog memory. State, friction, intervention, reentry. At least 5 words, because we start with goal. But everything should have, all of your plans should have the goal, right? So how many essay pieces at the top, everything gets into that. Any project can have a goal. If it's not feeding to the goal to what you're doing, it's not helping with what the purpose of your project is, well, why are you doing it? Right. So state what it's trying to accomplish and then figure out what conditions can change what the person can do at the relevant moment. Right. So whatever features goal you're working with. And then move to the friction. Where does their intention fail to become action? Intervention. What smallest change makes the next action easier, visible, possible, or unnecessary, right? So either something in your app is too much of a pain, so you need to fill it, or maybe there's something that you need to bridge. And I just like to be very a conservative designer in as much as it can be less feature goals and issue. And then re-entry. Notice the person return after interruption, lapse, or change. Great. Once to complete the intervention, once to say, okay, they have this problem and cause the problem using the app in this way. Then we're going to fix it in this way, and then they come back in this way. That's all very abstract, isn't it? In a word, though, we want to match mechanism to the failure mode because things support context and I include the salience row at the bottom to choose these 2 states, include the state while you pick the changes to design. And that's more or less 2 is a with and also for when you get to the interactive portion here. But let's look at a worked failure. So Pokemon Sleep, it used to year ago, I haven't used it super recently, has the goal is to help the users fall asleep and maintain the user's sleep routine. And it doesn't do this very well. Right. The reason being, when you go to bed, immediately you're bombarded with a bunch of things to do. Right? It's time to feed your Pokemon and take them on an adventure and catch some new ones. As a game, this is great. The progression will be fun. It feeds you a lot of dopamine, gets you excited. As a bedtime app, that is the opposite of what you want to do. Right? Having menus, cutscenes, game choices, set up, you're staring at a blue screen, getting excited right before bed. It's the opposite of what you want, right? So the goal should be to have, and it's also, its intervention doesn't work in as much as then when they wake up, that's when they'll get like, oh, here's like your recording and stuff. So you get the point of the app after you do all the hard part. It's the opposite of what we want. But again, the re-entry doesn't work because if your sleep fails and you don't get to sleep or if you forget to do the app, then your days are messed up and right. So if someone were a perfect user who wouldn't need to do that, right? You could say, oh well, what if the user just like got ready before bed? Well, then they probably don't need the sleep tracking app, do they? If their sleep hygiene is so perfect. Let's look at another one that is correct in as much as it does what it needs to do at the future level. I think it has some problems at the failure level, but we'll talk about in a second. Uh, there's this app called OneSec, and its point is to prevent an impulsive app opening. So, right, you click Instagram and it just pops up and it's like, are you sure you want to open Instagram? Another useful feature, right? It's pretty light. You just click the button, you want to use Instagram. Yes, I'm sure I'm actually want to waste my time. Or no, this is okay, fine. I'm going to go back to some codex or whatever I need to do. And that, right, the impulse is to engage your way into some fun app that isn't what you want to do. Um, and then the friction is right the user. Normally they don't have that anything in the way, but if you just take that extra second, you're actually fixing it. Okay. And yeah, canceling since you were back to the home screen, back to what they were doing. The way they do it, or some apps do it, at least involve sending users like some big display board dashboard where it's like, oh, you can like track your stats on how many times you've been distracted. It's like, don't give the user a new distraction in your anti-distraction tool. I have three quick ones, three that do it very well. The emergency SOS tool on the phones, right? Someone who's in an emergency state, they have an emergency, their limb is broken or their fires happening, they're in distress because of active shooting, any sort of thing. Because you want to call the emergency number is going to have like the likelihood that the user's not going to be able to like swipe into their phone menus and click a bunch of things and be like, oh yeah, uh, totally. No, just push the button on the side and it dies unless it cancels it. That is something doable. Finch, this app that is like a daily to-do list tracker. One thing that does well is that, again, we're just looking at features here, is you can click this button when you're in distress that just says, like, I need help, and it sends a message to your friends that says that, they need a hug. And then they can click a button and it sends their bird hug to your bird. And it's cute, it's sweet, it takes 2 seconds. And why it's so smart is because like users, oh man, I'm really not having a good day. They might not have the bandwidth to be like, hi friend, I am in distress and need help. I don't know how to word this. I'm sad, I'm feeling anxious and don't want to ask a particular friend. Just clicking a button that says send hug requests to all friends on Q Third app, that's a lot easier for a lot of people. Then finally a loop habit. Yeah, loop habit tracker. Sorry to say. That's actually the name of app on F-Droid. It's good in that it keeps inconsistent attention or energy on things. Where the problem is that when people don't have their energy on things, that's why they're trying to form habits. And it's hard to get back on track after you fail a habit, right? Either you're trying to quit something, you're trying to start something, start brushing your teeth twice a day, stop smoking. And then once you fail, it's like how do you get back into that? And the habit tracker keeps that in mind and actually does things to bring people back in. You just directly enter the input and there's no, hey, you failed. There's no, it doesn't make it more difficult to use the app if you failed in the past. So here's an example before we get into the interactive bit. The timely hydration support app. Let's say we're trying to build one of those. The point is not a big app idea. The point is a compact answer that we can stress test quickly. Right, so goal. Drink water during a long voting session without breaking flow. Like what they commonly was how something like this is actually no, because I'm water. So the state we're in deep focus, time blindness, low energy reduces noticing, right? It's 3 a.m. I've been coding for 8 hours and I'm going to keep going for the next three because I'm going to finish this project and I need something to tell me to drink water, right? Water's not at in sight. My glass is empty and the sink's way over there. So the intervention would be like a visible bottle at a tiny one click log to sip, right? You might go and just like games every 2 hours with a picture of a water bottle and it says, hey, go drink. And then I hit like a button to make it go away and it logs that I did it. And I miss it, the next one still goes. Sweet punishment or something. It's like, yeah, I missed the last one, now I don't want to do it. And I'm just keep it going. That would work. I think ask the chat here with the four things I said to see questions or objections, laws to that method. Why might that app still not work? If the user just gets a thing every hour or two to drink some water.
Do you want to also type the question in the chat just in case?
Oh,
And if you guys need some time to think about it, definitely think about it, but also still try to interact with our speaker as much as you can, even if you don't really know the answer.
yeah, because I mean, this is really the brainstorming process has tons of iterative too. So even if you think you have an answer that's not there, just something in any direction might get someone else to move it further.
Looks like Jay has an idea. I think also something that might affect it is sometimes people, I don't know, they get used to certain sounds and certain uh notifications, and eventually over time they just start ignoring them. Like I know there are some apps, even if they give me the same notification at the same time every day, sometimes I just ignore it. It might be timed on purpose, but sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'm kind of stubborn.
I mean, just like you, I mean, solutions, the chat has suggestions for how that might look like that. My first thought is, okay, that so we need rotating and probably random, right? It gets into like a cycle of focus for 1 p.m. time for my fair roar sound. That's gonna eventually become normal. So yeah, maybe we have a library of 300 different sounds that get your attention and
Mhm.
they're random, right? Randomly set up each time, so that you can't get used to it. Reading Jen's suggestion, saying because there's not a way to drink water at the moment without water happening to die. Yeah, that would need to be. And answers to that in chat also. Welcome. And so I can do something with that, but I would plan beforehand. Some of you have to be waiting a day, but second, do you have water before you start all this? Yeah, on yeah. For sake of time, I want to get to the next scenarios. So we'll solve them one by one in chat, and then we'll yeah. So the first one we'll do one step at a time, and then we'll later rounds we'll just have everyone you know, the four-step process at once. Because I should know this. So we will wait. So you will crunch some time. You might not get to the scenario one. And when we go through these, if your ideas already in the chat, then either smaller, break it or perfect, right? You can find some linear or part of the idea or some way that you know it's like, oh, we don't actually need to design that way. Design or find some reason some of this idea doesn't work so that maybe we can make it a stronger potential or this influence that. And then we'll stress test the strongest ideas by with our last statements, which is throwing things up that we're trying to better because that is really the core of the design engineering of the process is that it might be have a problem, come up with a solution, find problems with the solution, and then fix those problems like going the problems out until you can't bring them out in a better way. And then give it to users who will find plenty more. So scene one is a pain variable student. A student wants to study every day, but pain and fatigue fluctuate. When they miss one session, they lose the thread on the point when starting. Feel machine, whatever. So goal, what is the person trying to accomplish? This might be one of those questions that feels too obvious. Right, I just say the goal. Oh, staying disciplined. That sounds like we're trying to build a habit of studying daily. No, that sounds right. I'm sticking to using despite studying. So the state, what condition materially changes what they can do, which is the same. What would they be doing in their attempts to build an outward studying daily? That's going to mess that up. Material as in like substantially or like it can be a mental state, right? Like it can be the user is too depressed to get up. Not materially changes it in as much as they can't get to it. As it's not making a story issue next to mom. Being arrested might be a way they want to get back. Yeah, the state of the state during elections. That is also an issue. Like someone's like the summer things, they miss a day or they start late. Or yeah, they fluctuate. We plan on your 6 hour study day and then you 2 hours in flares. Because then you can do that in 2 hours. So that's one thing about uh, where does the workflow bring? How does fluctuating clean states affect what part of stuff breaks? So that's where the workflow breaks. And it's um, so we've established that the users they are studying and they have a class study that they're paying fluctuates and during the day that they need to take a 2 hour break and it happens suddenly. So their study plan for the day is run off. So now what intervention, what would this most useful system be to help someone who needs a surprise hour, 2 hour break? That's what I'll leave that question up in the chat for give everyone 20, 30 seconds something, because this is a tricky one. But it's sort of more of what I can not only the thing of the chat is
Hmm. Maybe for this one, when you say it forces them to take breaks, does that mean, that they can't study with audios maybe? Like, could they study with audios if they have to physically stop, like, writing and typing? Like, an audio player can be used?
yeah, that's an and that brings up to the point that that breaks down the state further, right? Because yeah, I just said there were too much reading to work, but yeah, you're right to tear at that. Um, because they may well be too much reading to write, but still listen to audio. And then having that kind of easy option to do that. So they don't right. They might not have done too much reading to write. They might also be too much reading to navigate with difficult maybe. We want to make sure that's easy to get that option.
Right.
Sorry, did I cut you off?
No, you're good. I was just agreeing with you. Okay, somebody else is typing. Okay, somebody was typing. Maybe they got shy.
don't want to cause problems for the next speaker, so I should probably move through the last slides here quickly.
Um, I think your audio is a little bit muffled. Could you try saying that again? Sorry.
Okay. That's, I'm seeing the time here. Should I, sort of skim through to the end here? I don't want to delay the next one.
Yeah, that would probably be best. Maybe just a little bit less time for discussion if you had a few more scenarios left. I don't know how many scenarios you had left, but
Yeah, I'll move it to these, and then I can also send out the notes to everyone after.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
so this one was a person has a giant to-do list graveyard, uh, and they know the list of urgency, energy, pain, location, anxiety, attention, right? So the to-do list, they open it up every day and it says, oh, here's all the things you need to do. That's a lot. How are they supposed to decide what to do? So we might ask, like, does the athlete track their anxiety, their pain, their location, right? If they're moving a lot, maybe their to-do list should only probably at the right moves, so attach it to a GPS. Uh, how to select locations as long as, or as long as the goals are location tagged. Moving along, social battery, someone wants to stay connected, but they disappear when overwhelmed. So you just come in with a message. An introvert might be like, I don't know. But you can use especially no, I'm you can have prompts that are just like, okay, we can hi, how are you? I click that box. Or if it's context aware, it's like, oh hey, you wanted to follow up with this person about this topic, right? There's some natural possibilities. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you just don't want AI to be in a conversation for them. So it's them like draft, nothing you can fill in. Or the things with word blanks. But again, we want to go through this, figure out what problems they have, what exactly breaks it, like where is it? It's at the point of, is it opening up Messenger app? Is it when they open the app, picking the person? Is it thinking what to say to the person, having the confidence to hit send? Those are four different issues, and each one would need a different intervention. And if we were to go through this, I could ask y'all to go through and design systems to fix that term. And then finally, a hackathon burnout. A team starts strong, they get a blocker, stop the team clearly, and then there's burn 2 hours mechanical progress. How do you tell when that's happening? How to deal with it when it happens? Are you prompted? Are you on board? Again, tease apart the state and then each state figure out what exactly the friction is. How does this state actually cause an issue? And then intervention, what can concretely, you know, see how does this intervention fix the goal and the entry? How do you give it back to so more or less while I'm like we're just sum this up into slide, it's don't wish for better users. The user's actual circumstances are part of your design requirements. So start with the failure in the workflow, not grand app for that, but just start with, how is what does the user need? That's what you have to score. And then in what they need, what do they need to use your app? So right, change the smallest thing about the user's workflow and the action or return possible. If your design isn't working because the user is just stupid or wrong, that's a problem with the design, not with the users. The tools anyone's. I'll send out the notes and the appendices so you have a sheet for this. But yeah, we have Q&A time, right?
What was the last part of what you said? Sorry.
Oh, we have Q&A time, 5 minutes.
I don't know, maybe it's my internet, but I'm having a hard time hearing. It just sounds a little bit muffled.
No.
Oh, yeah, okay. Q&A time. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions for Nichole, please drop them in the chat. This has been a really good exercise in how to think critically and also how to think in reality and be really grounded and practical about what users actually need and not necessarily what they think they want. This is just like how to build real world solutions, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, Nichole will send over notes and I will be able to pass those out to you guys afterwards. Um, but yeah, if there's no questions, uh, thank you so much for giving this presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you.
I do see one more person. Okay, they're typing. But yeah, we will go ahead and post this recording on YouTube as soon as it becomes available. And thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.